nature herself does not have the word waste in her dictionary. Just think about it for a moment. All of us are familiar with this word waste. If it's waste paper, we have a waste paper basket. If it's waste, let us say, what we let out every morning, it's the restroom or the toilet at home. It goes out somewhere else. Somebody else takes it and treats it for us, but it's waste. We don't want it. If it is waste computers, we give it out to somebody else who tries to recover and recycle something. So all our human actions or living actions have all got this element of taking in resource, doing something with it, and getting some product out of it, of course, getting energy, product, multiple things out of it, and also giving out something which is unwanted, which we call waste. Now, if you think of it, nature herself never ever felt or thought in her principle of sustainability that there will be anything called waste. She said whatever comes out is going to go back and come back. And for example, today when I was talking to Mr. Sripati of distillation and things like that, nature followed the simple principle of distillation. Heat water, vapor, water vapor goes up, and as I said, comes down as rain and keeps coming. She did multiple things, even things like, vegetation. Millions of years ago, trees got old, they fell down, and they ultimately became petroleum, which today we use as petroleum. So nature said that whatever is there on earth, as the principle of sustainability dictates, would all go back into the system and would keep coming back to and fro. Here for a moment, we look at the carbon cycle, carbon dioxide. She said anything living must consume and must let out something which is unwanted. That was her principle of living life. And she said that all living beings will take in oxygen, use it to burn things, generate energy because they need energy for living, and would let out something called a gas called carbon dioxide. And then she had to take a call as to how do I make this carbon dioxide come back. And so in those that 1.5 billion years, I think she probably said that I will give it to something else which I will be a living being. So she had a choice to make. Do I give it to animals and people and things like that, or something else? And I think in her infinite wisdom, she said, I'll give it to things, living beings that are more static. And she said, I'll give it to plants. And even in plants, she said, I can't give it to all plants. There could be an imbalance. So she said, I'll give it to plants which have got green coloring matter. And that's how the concept of photosynthesis came, with chlorophyll being present in green plants. And what do these green plants do? They take in this carbon dioxide, convert it to food, give it back to the living beings, and that's how the whole carbon cycle also keeps on operating. If you look around nature, multiple such cycles are operating in nature. Nitrogen cycle, carbon cycle, water cycle, things like that. And the key word in all this is cycle. Cycle, when you say cycle, we say it keeps going round and round. And that's how nature designed our concept of sustainability. Now, if we were to go back to nature, we spoke of Mr. Sripati when he spoke in his introductory remarks, he spoke about action. That's something that I too have believed in. And I believe that our behaviors are what have defined where we have brought this earth to. And our behaviors are going to define where we're going to take this earth forward, either in our times or future times. If you come to think of it, 200, 300 years back, humans started finding it very attractive to get into what was we now call the Industrial Revolution. Did many things on a mass scale. They believed, a bit erroneously at that point of time, that nature's resources were infinite, and they kept on consuming more, and that's how mass production and multiple things happened. Around that became the mechanisms of economic development. I'm not getting into capitalism, socialism, communism, and things like that. But the point is that people or human beings assumed that these were all infinite resources, so draw on them, make something, make lives more comfortable, and take it forward. And now, if you were to think back about what happened, I would say that our behaviors are essentially three. We think, we speak, and we act. For example, right now, I'm thinking a bit, I'm all speaking a lot, probably not acting so much. You are also listening, thinking, and probably, hopefully, will take these things back and bring them into action as we go forward. These three behaviors define how we have lived and how we are going to live, as I said. And in this, I would say that there are these three factors. I have sort of partiality towards this rule of three, which I adopt for myself. I appear so much simpler to take three topics or three factors and three principles and take them forward and then move on to the next three. So you find these three behaviors, and I talk of these three factors, which are physical, systemic, and human. Physical are the ones that we can physically see, feel, hear. Typically, as a trainee, I've learned of this principle called look, listen, feel. Look is what you can see, listen is what you can hear, feel is what you can feel by touch and temperature and things like that. So all these are physical. For example, if this glass of water is there, it's physical. I can see it, I can feel it. If I'm sitting at a table, it's physical because I can put something on it and it's there, and it has got its own dimensions, physical. Systems are what make things work. A combination of physical things put together, when it works, it becomes a system. For example, the human body itself is one extremely complex system, but such an outstandingly designed system. You've got the brain, you've got the heart, you've got the kidneys, you've got the stomach, liver, all these things, legs, all that happens here. And all of them put together makes a very complex system. Each one of them, though it's physical in nature, has got a system of its own. For example, the heart system is very different from the way the kidneys function, but each one of them follows a system of its own. So systems are what are required to make things get together and work in harmony to deliver an output. Typically, as all of us would know, a process or a system is where inputs come in, they are the variables, something works in between, when it comes out, it's an output. So this is where systems work, physical and system. And then you have this interesting factor which we so often tend to miss out, and those are the human factors. Human factors are what happens with our emotions, what happens with our feelings. For example, as I speak to you, some of you could be listening to it with intent, with a lot of interest. Some of you could be feeling bored. This guy is saying same things that I already seem to know. So those emotions and those feelings are what are each individual's human factors, or what one would say living factors, let's say. Even animals, plants also come out with living factors, but for the moment, because we're talking about our life and how humans have impacted and how humans can impact for the better, I would stay with this word, human factors. Anywhere that you see, you will find that these human factors are the ones which are most transient. Physical factors will remain forever. For example, the rocks we see, all that we see around us would remain for a very, very long time. Systems can get changed if you want to bring in something better, and we can make them work better, redo the whole thing, reconfigure the whole thing and make it work differently. But human factors are the ones which are so transient that if this morning I felt happy, you would see psychologists would find that in my voice today. If there has been something bothering me in the afternoon, I would be I would be having a very different tone. It happens with each and every one of us in the way we consume resource, the way we do things. And this, my friends, is a topic which interests me quite a lot. And this is something which is going to decide how we are going to use this all important resource called water.